The man convicted in the ambush shooting of two LA County Sheriff's deputies, Claudia Apolinar and Emmanuel Perez Perez. It happened in Compton in 2020, part of a multi-day crime spree.
Prosecutor told the jury that Murray shot 4 people, tried to kill 3 of them, including deputies. His attorney argued that Murray was under the influence of and grief-stricken over his best friend's shooting death by LA County deputies. Prosecutor told the jury that Murray shot 4 people, tried to kill 3 of them, including deputies.
Part of a multi-day crime spree.
In today's video, we're going to be speaking about somebody named Deontay Murray, who would be a Crip from Compton. And in this story, we're going to break down how he would be accused of going on a 2-week crime spree to where he would shoot 4 people. And some of you may be familiar with the story about the 2 sheriff deputies in Compton that got shot at the train station. But we're going to break it all down for you. Let's dive right into it. We're going to start off with his first crime, which would be on September 1st of 2020. And on this day, somebody named Andrew Harris would drive his black Mercedes-Benz to Bradfield Avenue in Compton. He would then park on the street and he would get out. As he got out, he was approached by a group of men. They would all be friends, however, and know each other for a bunch of years. However, during that talk, an argument would break out between Andrew Harris and Deontay Murray. And that's when Andrew Harris told Deontay Murray that they can fight. Deontay Murray would respond and threaten to shoot him. Andrew Harris then walked back towards his Mercedes, and that's when Deontay Murray walked up the driveway, grabbed an assault rifle, and walked back down. And he would tell Harris, "Give me what you got." Andrew Harris then threw all the money that he had and his car keys on the floor. That's when Deontay Murray would pick it up and then shoot him in the leg. Deontay Murray would then jump into his black Mercedes-Benz and drive off. But the whole thing was caught on camera by a neighbor who was filming on a cell phone. No arrest would be made, but now police would be on the lookout for a stolen black Mercedes-Benz. But 10 days after that situation happened, Deontay Murray would lose a close friend on September 10th of 2020. And according to police, on the day of September 10th of 2020, they would search the residence of a Compton Vadio Tokers gang member. They would begin the search warrant at 5:30 in the morning. And according to police, when they did, the target of the investigation ended up running into his garage. That's when he would barricade himself inside of the garage, and allegedly, police would hear him loading up firearms. And according to police, shortly after that, they would hear gunshots coming out of the garage. An officer would then say that he saw a rifle barrel sticking out of the door. That's when he would open fire on the garage. They would fire close to 100 shots, but they would shoot him 10 times. In this situation right here is what sparked off the crime spree. Because like we said, Samuel Herrera was killed at 5:30 in the morning on September 10th of 2020. And on that same exact day of September 10th of 2020, but in the afternoon, which would be about 6 hours later, there would be a shooting outside the Compton Courthouse. And the person who was shot would be a private investigator who was sitting inside a Ford Explorer, sitting on a laptop during a Zoom meeting. And he would say that a black Mercedes-Benz pulled up on the side of him. That's when a black man who was driving would point a rifle at him, and he would fire several shots and then speed away. And he would be hit in the arm, the hand, the chest, and the stomach. This right here would be the location where it happened, outside of the courthouse. And as you can see right here, on the side would be the Compton Sheriff's Station. Nobody would be arrested, but they would be on the lookout for a black Mercedes-Benz. And don't forget, Deontay Murray just shot somebody 10 days before this and stole their black Mercedes-Benz. And during that shooting, he also used a rifle. But on September 12th of 2020, which would be 2 days after the shooting at the courthouse, 2 deputies would be shot outside the train station in Compton. And during this situation, they would have surveillance footage of a black man walking up, pulling out a firearm, and firing multiple rounds into the police vehicle. The shooter would then run away and jump into a black Mercedes-Benz and then speed away. This would be the situation that went viral, that was all over the news that you guys may remember. And there would be no arrest made in the situation until 3 days later, on September 15th of 2020. And on that day, police would see him driving a blue Toyota, and they would attempt to pull him over. That's when he would take police on a high-speed chase and then jump out the vehicle and try to run. However, he would be able to hide for a few hours, but after that, police would find him hiding in a chicken coop. They would then tell him to come out with his hands up, and he would refuse. That's when they would send in the police dogs, and he would be bit. He was finally arrested, but during the pursuit, police would see him tossing the firearm into a parking lot in Compton. In that same exact day, they would also find the black Mercedes-Benz that he stole. And inside the Mercedes-Benz, they would find a few shell casings. He would then be arrested and processed that same exact day, on September 15th of 2020, where he would face 1 count of carjacking, 1 count of robbery, 1 count of assault with a firearm on a person, 1 count of attempted murder, 1 count of possession of a firearm by a felon, 2 counts of attempted murder, 2 more counts of possession of a firearm by a felon, 1 count of attempted murder, and the final count would be another possession of a firearm by a felon. He would then have to sit in the county jail for the next 3 years, but on August 8th of 2023, he would begin trial. And during trial, there would be several witnesses that would testify against him. And we're going to start off with the first one, which would be Samuel Herrera's brother. And he would tell detectives that Deontay Murray bragged to him about shooting the deputies. He would tell detectives that he told him several hours after, and he would say that he smoked them pigs. And he would also tell him that he did the one outside the courthouse also. And he would say one of the reasons why he did the double shooting at the train station was because the shooting outside the courthouse didn't make the news. The next witness would be a female friend to Deontay Murray, who had the last name Gamble. And she would say on September 10th of 2020, on the day that the deputies killed Samuel Herrera, she would say that her and Deontay Murray had a conversation. And Deontay Murray would tell her that he's going to take care of the situation and he's going to take out some deputies. She would then tell detectives that several hours after he made that statement, he would come back and he would tell her that he just shot 2 deputies and he did it for Sam. And the 2 witnesses that we spoke about so far, which would be Sam's brother and the female friend with the last name Gamble, would tell detectives that when they seen the video of the shooting on the news, they recognized Murray as the shooter, and that's when they decided to report it. And the next witness would be another female friend with the last name Luna, and she would be friends with both Deontay Murray and Andrew Harris, who was the first victim. He would be the one that got his Mercedes-Benz stolen and shot in the leg with a rifle. She would first tell police that Deontay Murray admitted to her that he shot Andrew Harris and stole his Mercedes. She would also say that her and Deontay Murray spoke about the shooting situation. And she would tell detectives that Deontay Murray was angry with the deputies because they killed Samuel Herrera and they were lying about him having a firearm and being aggressive. She would also tell detectives that Deontay Murray was up for a few days straight after Samuel Herrera's death. And just like the other 2 witnesses, he would also tell her that he was mad about the shooting outside of the courthouse not making the news. And she also told detectives that on the day of the double shooting, Deontay Murray showed her a video of the shooting, and he bragged about running up close range, but he was upset that they didn't pass away. And on top of that, after he was arrested, they would bring him to court on a bus, and that bus ride was being monitored by recording. And they would have one recording of him saying, "F the police, and I hope they die on the table." They would also have another recording of him saying that they knew they were looking for him for the carjacking stuff, and that he should have killed cuz, talking about Andrew Harris. And this right here would be the last recording that they had, which would probably be the craziest one. Deontay Murray would say, "He told me in the morning Sam got killed. I busted on police right there, on Alondra and Bradfield. Pop, 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 pop. That was the first one. Then I caught that one over by the courthouse. That was the second one. Then the train station in Compton." He would then start laughing and say, "Check the scoreboard, I'm up." He would then say, "On Crip, I don't give a F, and y'all can't prove it." So with him saying that right there, that lets you know that there was 3 situations to where he shot at police, because he was only charged for 2. The courthouse one, and then the train station one. But as you can see right there, we just read that in the morning Sam got killed, he busted on police, on Alondra and Bradfield. And on top of all that evidence, don't forget that the day he was arrested, they seen him toss a gun into a parking lot that they ended up grabbing. And on top of that, they would find the Mercedes-Benz that he stole, and they would find shell casings inside of it. And they would end up testing everything, and everything would come back to a match. The shell casings recovered from the Mercedes-Benz that was stolen would come back to the first victim and to the second victim outside of the courthouse, which was both done with a rifle. And the gun that was found inside of the parking lot in Compton that they seen him throw would come back to a match for the same shell casings as the shooting at the train station. They would also find his DNA inside of the Mercedes, on the handgun, and on the bullets. But after a month of trial, on September 28th of 2023, he would be convicted by a jury and he would be found guilty on all counts except for one attempted murder. And he would be sentenced to a term of 166 years to life. And he's eligible for parole in December of 2131, which would be 106 years from now. But that right there is going to wrap up the story of Deontay Murray from Compton, Crip. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in. But comment, like, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all. It's Respectable Rants.